Hi everyone, this is your girl Nikita, and welcome to the Perfectly Powerful You podcast. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Perfectly Powerful You podcast. This is your host Nikita, and we are having a wonderful day today. At the level of fact, it is Thursday. When you are listening to this, it is probably Friday or whatever day in this magical universe that you are currently listening to this. But I trust, hope, and expect that you all are doing absolutely wonderfully. And this is a really big shout out to everyone who's listening that you are born to succeed. And that is what today is going to all be about. We are going to be doing a little pep talk, a little pick me up podcast. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, pick me up podcast. And we're just going to be doing, and by we, I mean me, myself, and I and you are going to just revel in the fact that we are alive. I love being alive. I don't know about you, but I think there's something very joyful in the fact that not only do we get to breathe clean air, we get to move in these beautiful bodies, we get to experience life through our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, our all these feelers on our body. And I think it's amazing. And also our intuition, six senses. But the thing that I've been really inspired by today, and something that I wanted to sit down with everyone, is just to, do a little pick me up, because I've been finding that when I'm feeling a little down in the dumps, yes, actually, I do get down in the dumps. Many people find, Nikki, you're so happy all the time. How do you do it? Well, I am not actually all happy all the time, but today I'm feeling very mighty spirited. And I'd love to share some of this energetic energy and to just enlighten you, inspire you, or just be a part of your growing life, and to shine a little light and positivity, poop rainbows and sparkles and all that jazz as we're getting into this topic. However, I the idea around this podcast today was all about how it is absolutely a part of us to just succeed, excel, and to be great. And for many of us, maybe there's this kind of, I'll say up until now, love using that, this feeling of just maybe not enoughness, that there's a lot of repetition in our daily life, that maybe there's this feeling of like a plateau, that we know so much that we want to succeed, but yet maybe we've hit this kind of barrier that maybe feels like it's a little bit more difficult to overcome. But as I've been challenging myself and challenging my mental attitudes around, well, life in general, I love being able to test boundaries a little bit and get even more clear and concise with what I would love, and to understand that the only limitations that we ever put on ourselves is just that. There are no limitations unless we as individuals choose to believe that there are limitations. And I find that very empowering. So feel free to try that on yourself. That if you think you can't do it, you won't do it. But if you think that you can, even if you have to fail a little bit in order to get there, you're gonna do it. You're gonna succeed. Something that I've been listening to, it was Bob Proctor and Mary Morrissey. If you know them and love them, then you'll probably share my excitement with just the empowerment and wisdom that comes out of their mouth. It is just amazing to be in conversation with beautiful people that are inspiring and enlightening, and just the kind of people you want to keep around. And the kind of people I love keeping around me are the ones that just feel as though they live the life. They are the ones that walk the walk, they talk the talk, and listen and learn and just really absorb all of the goodness that comes from their enlightened talks. And something I've been listening to is the law of success. I've been listening to all of the laws, the 11 laws that I've been learning about, and this final one is the law of success. And it talks about how the very nature of our being is greatness, is success, is growth, is just expansion in all of its context. Like we are meant to, as spiritual beings having this beautiful, radiant human experience, that we are meant to grow. That, of course, there will be moments where we kind of feel like we hit those plateaus, like I mentioned before. It's just kind of part of life. You know, when you're not growing because you know what growth feels like. And so, just like how they mentioned in this in the law of success and in a bunch of the other videos that they have produced, that even they say every blade of grass has an angel whispering over it saying grow, grow, grow. And every time I hear that, because I am not, and you are not a blade of grass. Every single blade of grass, though, if we know about it, if they each have a like an angel or something higher watching out for them saying, keep going, you've got this, keep growing, like you are meant to succeed, it will bust through cement, something so flimsy that people mow down their lawns all the time, with enough energy, with enough determination from that tiny blade of grass, it'll shoot through the cement. It will find a way. It will push. It will find a crack. It'll like weave its way. Maybe it'll like go under and surface a little bit, and then it'll find its way out to the sunlight. But it is meant to grow. And by chance, there's a part of you that is feeling like you are that blade of grass. No matter what, there might be like what feels like a cement block in your way, but if every blade of grass has an angel whispering into its ear, metaphorically speaking, that we also have someone watching out for us. People, master guides, that we have our friends, we have our soul, our higher self that's saying, keep going, you've got this, you're amazing. Everywhere that you're, like every place that you've come from in order to get to where you are now, there's so much more waiting out for you. Like you are still living this life, which means that you are still meant to keep going. On a similar note of just the fact that we are meant to grow, I think sometimes I'll say up until now, there was a feeling in me where I've been holding out for an open door. And I don't know if maybe people relate to this. I imagine that you do. In some respect or another, that maybe you're in a place where you keep hitting this kind of, I'll call it a loop. I think that in life, you know how it's all the circle, beautiful circle of life, that it means that we're meant to come back to the same things in order to really, really know if we've actually learned it or not. So I think that's a really wonderful thing, because it means that no matter how far advanced we become in life, we're always going to be circling back to something that we may have previously learned, but now we're going to show up a little bit differently. And something that kind of sparked this, oh, right, like there's always going to be another open door, is when I was at my front door and there was a fly on my like little, I mean, like the sliding door, just a part that allows wind to come through, but it'll block out the buggies that I would prefer not to have in my home. So this one fly ended up getting into my home. Don't know when, don't know where, just he was in my home. And then I was like, oh, well, he probably wants to be let out. Like he seems like he wants to spread his wings and fly somewhere else. So I was trying to help him out. Instead of like ushering him, I just opened the door. But he was kind of just like very content to stay on the door. Go with me on this. So I just kind of jostled the door a little bit, and he started to fly in the other direction, like away from where the door was actually open. And I was like, ah, well, he'll figure it out eventually. So I left the door open, then I closed it a little bit, and then I jostled it a little bit so that he would start to move again, because he stayed a little bit stagnant. And I was like, well, you're not going to go anywhere if you're just like, if you're not moving. So I closed the door just to like get him moving again, and I opened it again, and it was right at that perfect time that even though he went in the other direction, he was jostled enough to move in the other direction toward the door. And there was a little light bulb that went off into my head, because when he finally figured out that the door was actually open, he could be free, like go fly go, that he found his way out the door, and without any hesitation, he just took off, and I never saw the same fly again. And it really got me in like light bulb mode, where I was like, oh my gosh, the door is always open. Even though The fly may not have known in the beginning that the door was open. The door was always open. And there was a part of me that said, I wonder where in my life specifically that I thought a door was closed because I was maybe on the other side of the door, but really it was open, even a smidgen, the entire time. And so, for any of you that this resonates with, that you feel like there is a part of your life that you feel like the door is closed for me. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I'm stuck here. I just don't know where I'm going to go from here. What if by chance the door was actually already open for you and something is meant to jostle you a little bit to remind you that the door was already opened, and maybe it wasn't the same door you came through, but maybe it was another door that led to somewhere that once you realize that it was already open for you, and once you choose to just like get jostled, get uncomfortable a little bit, you're jostled, like you're not stagnant anymore once you realize that something else is moving you in that direction, something behind the scenes maybe, that you're just like, once you realize that it's there, you're just gonna shoot right through like the fly on my door, and you're never gonna look back. And I would love to offer some space for the jostle because it's uncomfortable sometimes to be jostled, to really want that or really want that sense of security, to know that the door was always open for you, but to really take that leap of faith right through. And so for those of you who may need a little jostle, a little nudge in the right direction, if you need permission from me, you really don't. But feel free to fly away and do what you need to do, because it is okay to stay on my metaphorical sliding door and just happily look to the outside world, knowing that at any point the door will always be open for you. And maybe you only need to like crawl across the metaphorical sliding door to go out and fly away. Or maybe something is gonna push you in that direction. Maybe it's gonna jostle you and you're gonna go in the other direction, only to realize you're gonna get jostled again in the right direction of where you're meant to be, and you're just gonna fly and you're not gonna remember and or realize that that door or that perceived barrier was there in the beginning. And I personally definitely needed to hear this again because even though there's a really big part of me that loves growing, that loves adventure, that loves what next, what more is there for me, there's a very big part of me that loves safety, that loves comfort, that loves security in my predictability. But life often has something else in store for us. I think that just by the very nature of human existence and existence of life in general, a plant doesn't choose to grow. The plant just grows. And even if the plant is concealed to its same pot, it's going to get root bound. And sometimes, depending on the circumstances, the roots will just grow right out. Like they want to grow down so they can grow up. And so life has a way of just pushing you in the direction of where you need to go. And sometimes it will be uncomfortable, but sometimes it'll be exhilarating and elating. And you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I knew this. I knew there was something better. I knew that I was meant to grow, and I know that I'm continuing to grow. And on the same note of growth, I think there's something really delightful about praising yourself from where you have come. So for the Pick Me Up podcast, there we go, nailed it. For the Pick Me Up podcast of the day, I want you to know that you are amazing. You've got this. Whatever you're doing, it is very small in comparison to the grandness that is you, for the explosiveness that is your energy and your passion, wherever you choose to put it. But just know that no matter what is going on, no matter who is coming into your life, and no matter what seems to maybe rub you the wrong way a little bit, you've got this. There's really no worries. And no matter what, it is actually only us that chooses to feel it. So even when something maybe feels a little uncomfortable, a little jostle in the right direction, just know that breathing into it is a really helpful technique for being able to overcome something. And I think that the more space we give ourselves to be able to recognize that, again, nothing in our life is going to be here unless it is meant for us. And I will say that again because I love hearing it. Nothing will ever come into our life unless it is meant for us, that we are meant to be a part of it, that we are meant to grow from it. And so, as I wind down this Pick Me Up podcast, I would love to just send even more, pardon me, healing and loving vibes towards whatever you're experiencing, because I know sometimes it's scary, and I know sometimes it's hard, and I know sometimes that there's a lot of anxiety that comes up, but I think that's a really wonderful thing, that when the anxiety comes up, when the fear or the change or the uncertainty comes up, I would say really acknowledge the presence and the time that you were in, because one day it's going to be past, long gone. You're going to be someone different. You're going to be someone greater. You're going to be older. You're going to be wiser. You're going to have more experience behind you. And everything that you're experiencing right now, again, no matter how big you may be making it out to be or what it may be seeming, that there's something greater inside of you that is growing from this. Something inside of you, and you as the entirety of the beautiful, beautiful human being that you are, is going to be so elated that this actually came into your life. And you're going to wait and you're going to expect even greater challenges. Because something else before I leave you today from the law of success is that the greatest failures are going to lead to the greatest wins, because everything has an equal and opposite reaction. If you want a mediocre failure, you're going to get a mediocre win. But if you try something that feels a little risky, or maybe a lot risky, that feels as though you know you can do it, but it's something maybe a little bit or a lot of it higher than your end game, that where you're at right now and where you see yourself going, there's a huge stretch. But that massive, massive failure that is a potential in your life is going to lead to a massive, massive win. And of course, like, lean into it. If it feels really scary and that you're really not at that level yet, you'll know. You can experience and try it out. And if it feels like maybe there's another like step before this really big win that you want to have, be okay with that. But if there's something that's holding you back because you're afraid, just know that whatever it is that you're about to transcend is going to lead to the biggest win of your life. And then there's going to be even more big wins. But big failures lead to big wins. Small failures lead to small wins. They're still failures, they're still wins. They're meant to be part of each other's lives because it's meant to show us just how much we can transcend this life, how much fun we can have in this life, how much we can grow as egotistical and spiritual beings, that it is just so much fun to be able to live into this life, knowing that in the end, one day you are going to be gone from your beautiful body. And I'm not going to say it doesn't matter. There's something that really matters about life, about trying, even though it might seem like you don't want to try, that just the act of trying continues to motivate you, because you know that even if it's a little try and then you tuck back in to your hidey hole, but then you try again and then you tuck back into your hidey hole, but then you try again, you're like, well, I've already tried these other couple of times, and you know what? I think I'm ready for that big win. I think there's something really beautiful in just giving it a go. So thank you all for sitting down with me today. I hope you have a super duper tremendous, wonderful, and exceptional day. For those of you who would love to join me on even more podcasts, I have, well, Perfectly Powerfully You as the main source of my speak verbal communication with you guys. I have a podcast on YouTube, so if you would love to see my face, then there's YouTube, there's Spotify, there's Apple Music, there's all the lovely places that you are able to reach out. And I love connecting with everybody who would love to get a little bit more of insight, of empowerment, of being able to live into your authentic self. I also have a Patreon for those who would love to support me. I'm really deep diving into growing the community and making this something that can be an even greater part of my life. So if you'd love to join me, support me, and this growing community, I would be very tickled if you would reach out to my Patreon. And for those of you who are interested in looking forward to a workbook in the coming, I always say coming weeks, and it'll still be coming weeks and still fine-tuning everything. And I want to make it really excellent for everyone who would love to have a workbook to check in with yourself, your gratitudes, your proud ofs, and every day to just keep you in alignment, because I love a good agenda and or workbook. Stay tuned for that. But until then, thank you all very much for sitting down with me today, or walking, or whatever it is you're doing. And I look forward to talking with you all very soon. Thank you all for joining me today, because it's my absolute pleasure to be here with you. I'd love to hear your thoughts about today's content and any inspirational words of wisdom you'd love to share. I'd also love if you would leave a 5-star review on whatever platform it is you're listening to this on, because it helps in creating even more awesome content. May your day be filled with only love and light, and I look forward to talking with you all real soon.